Right now, everyone inside the Department of Justice is in full panic mode as the Epstein files are set to be released tomorrow. And if you believe that any document containing Donald Trump's name won't be heavily redacted, I've got a bridge to sell you. It's not just the release of those files that has Trump and Bondi scrambling. It's also what Jeffrey Epstein's brother is now revealing about what's happening behind the scenes at the DOJ, along with the lies Trump has already told. Even more disturbing and disgraceful details are still emerging, and we're going to break all of it down. But before we do, please take a moment to like this video, and if you enjoy the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support our work. Now, before we get into the new information being shared by Epstein's brother, I want to start with a breaking report from the New York Times detailing what we're learning about Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the growing panic inside the DOJ, which Nicole Wallace laid out right here.
It's 5 o'clock in New York. From, quote, terrific guy to, quote, not a fan, Donald Trump has had every answer when asked about his relationship with the deceased sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. Now, on the eve of the deadline for the Justice Department to release the Epstein files in their entirety, the New York Times is out with some extraordinary, brand new, exhaustive reporting that could just be the tip of the iceberg on describing the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. The reporting is based on more than 30 interviews with Epstein's employees, survivors, and people who have crossed paths with the two men. From that report, quote, over the years, Mr. Epstein or his partner, Ghislaine Maxwell, introduced at least 6 women who have accused them of grooming or abuse to Mr. Trump, according to interviews, court testimony, and other records. One was a minor at the time. None have accused Mr. Trump himself of inappropriate behavior. One of the women, who has never before spoken publicly about the experience, told the New York Times that Mr. Epstein had coerced her into attending 4 parties at Mr. Epstein's home. Mr. Trump attended all 4, the woman said. At 2 of them, she said Mr. Epstein directed her to have sex with other male guests. The New York Times notes that they have found no evidence implicating Trump in Epstein's abuse and trafficking of minors, but that the two men's relationship was far closer and more complex than Trump has admitted. According to that new reporting, the two bonded over the fact that, quote, neither man drank or did drugs. They pursued women in a game of ego and dominance. Female bodies were currency, end quote. And on their pursuit of women, one woman telling the New York Times this, quote, I just think it was trophy hunting. While Trump can claim to somehow forget or rebrand his friendship with Epstein or his attendance at those 4 parties of Jeffrey Epstein's, women do not forget him. Quote, one woman, then a model and college student in her early 20s living in Manhattan, said she attended 4 parties at the mansion. She cannot recall the names of most of the men she met at the gatherings, not even those Mr. Epstein directed her to, quote, take care of at 2 of them. Recruited by Ms. Maxwell and then abused by Mr. Epstein, she buried her shame and kept their secrets for years. But Mr. Trump's presence stood out, she told the Times. He was a household name, someone Mr. Epstein often bragged about to the women around him, yet also seemed to compete with, quote, it was like a pissing contest. Who had the most women, she recalled. She spoke anonymously to describe her experiences in detail, saying she feared for her family's safety after Mr. Trump said some of his critics could be executed for sedition.
It is very clear that there is a mad dash happening right now to redact these files, which is kind of funny to think about considering all of the time that Pam Bondi has had since the passage of a bill signed into law by Donald Trump to release the Epstein files. You've had a month. Did you wait till the last minute? Is Pam Bondi like me in college? It's just like 3 a.m. She's like, I should maybe start this essay right now. Maybe I should get to my homework. Like, is that what's going on in this administration? It wouldn't surprise me. These guys are so Bush League. They don't even attempt to be competent. And so it comes as no surprise that that is what we're seeing right now. And it comes as no surprise that more holes are being poked. And the stories that Donald Trump wants to tell about his relationship with Epstein, He does it to himself. He says it's a hoax. Then he says it's Obama. Then he says Bill Clinton has to be investigated. But also, don't pay attention, but also investigate. What do you want to happen, Donald? Was he your friend or not? Because Trump has made it clear that him and Epstein were best buddies, but also he broke it off and it was because of business. But it wasn't. Then it was personal. Now it is. Well, someone who is refuting all of these lies that Donald Trump has clearly told is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, adding more context to a story that continues to develop and continues to color Donald Trump's presidency. And it doesn't just start with Epstein's brother, but also a new image shared today. A new article is detailing the relationship that Jeffrey Epstein's brother illuminated. But we also got this photo today of a signed copy of Donald Trump's book sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein's brother blows up White House's story on Trump's innocence. Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark, has blown a hole in the White House's defense of Donald Trump. Trump 79 says he was once friends with a disgraced financier, but that he banished him from his life after he learned of his crimes. As part of his attempts to minimize his relationship with Epstein, who died by suicide while awaiting trial in 2019, the White House claimed this summer that Trump had never been in the finances workplace on Madison Avenue in New York. The president was never in his office, said Stephen Chung, the White House communications director, in July. Asked for an update on Thursday by the Daily Beast, the White House said Stefan's statement still stands. However, Epstein's own brother Mark told the New York Times in a report published Thursday that the future president was in the office all the time back then. The Times article also repeated claims from Maria Farmer, an artist who alleged she was assaulted by Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in the mid-1990s, who said Epstein once told her to meet him at the office in Villard Houses, where Trump was waiting. Trump allegedly ogled Farmer before Epstein rebuked him. "She's not for you," the artist claimed Epstein said. Speaking to the Times, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said, "The whole story is fake news. It is not worth the paper it's printed on. It is just another stale regurgitation of decades-old false allegations against Donald Trump." She said, "The truth will remain the same, no matter how many times the New York Times tries to change it. President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep." The office on Madison Avenue, according to Epstein aides from that era, served as a venue for distributing sexual phone calls between the president and his friend that sometimes drew in innocent bystanders. A former assistant to Epstein recalled that when all the other colleagues had gone home, the financier would put Trump, then a well-known businessman, but not yet a TV star, on speakerphone, so the assistant could hear their locker room talk. Trump would then reportedly regale Epstein with his conquest, as the financier enjoyed the fact that it made his female employee visibly uncomfortable. The key argument that Donald Trump has tried to make in defending himself between any connection with him in Epstein is that he rarely associated himself. He just bumped in to Epstein. It's funny because it's also kind of the framework that you've heard from Mike Johnson or other Republicans while they're warning against why they can't release the full files. They talk about context and people's lives who could be ruined if all these photos came out, that so many people just bumped into Epstein in Palm Beach. And if we attacked every single one of them, it would destroy lives unnecessarily. That is what they've said, is that if you just had a picture taken with Epstein, you shouldn't have the pitchforks come after you. You shouldn't be put on trial. It could have just been a picture. But Donald Trump didn't just have a picture with Jeffrey Epstein. According to Epstein's own brother, they were sharing pictures. Sure, they were taking pictures. Yes, those are pictures of children Donald Trump was allegedly with that have been spoken about at length. Epstein's brother has talked about. But this is no chance encounter. This is no bump in at brunch. This is a documented relationship that Donald Trump has tried to dispute, but it just hasn't worked. And it's only going to get more difficult to do so as new information comes out. And that is what Robert Garcia and the Oversight Committee are going to be focused on. And he broke it all down right here.
Thank you very much for being here. Why release these images without any context today?
So all images that we receive from the Epstein estate come with no context. And so we've been very clear that all images, there's 95,000, are sent to us with no attachments, no context. And it's certainly our job on the committee to put out as much information to the public as possible. We've been honest from day one that we're going to be transparent, and whatever that we receive from the estate, as we review documents, we're going to put those out, and we've done that with photos, we've done that with emails, and we'll continue to do that. What's important for folks to know is when anything we receive from the estate, these could be photos that Epstein maybe took himself, it could have been sent to him, he could have collected these photos, but they were all in his possession. And so that was what we're putting out, and we'll continue to put photos out in the weeks and days ahead. What's most important right now is that the Department of Justice does the right thing and release all of the documents, photos, videos, and materials tomorrow as the law requires. And so I am hopeful and giving them the benefit of the doubt that we get the files released tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. I just want to focus on what you guys released today. I wonder, I guess one of the things that we're struggling with is when you release it without context, and I understand that you don't have any. I mean, this is stuff that, he could have had in his phone, on his email. We don't know anything about it other than this looks funny. And I wonder if you aren't concerned that just allowing the public to take what they may from these images. We already know that he's a creepy guy, that he broke the law, that he was a criminal and an abuser, and he was not a good person. He was doing bad things. We know that. But when you put these images out there, which I think underscores a lot of that, do you just allow people to come up with their own theories? I mean, do you perhaps motivate even more conspiracy theories about what might be contained in all of this stuff?
First of all, let me agree. And I think that having obviously photos without context is difficult, and we wish they would actually have context. But what's also as important, if not more, is public transparency. And there is a public good here that has to be met. When we receive pictures, when we receive emails, anything that we receive from the estate, it is incredibly important that we put that out to the public. And so we're going to continue to do that. And if we want to ensure that we have a full idea and get context on this entire investigation, then the Department of Justice has to put out those files. And so we've said from day one, whatever we receive, we're going to put it out. And we've been encouraging not just the Epstein estate, but other organizations, anyone that has information, to send those to the committee or to release them to the public. It is important that the public is able to make determinations on what they're receiving on their own, and they can see the things and pictures, videos, whatever it is for themselves.
Donald Trump can't stop this information from coming out. There are no guardrails left for him to hide behind. There's no one left to scapegoat, not even Pam Bandy. What's coming next is pure chaos inside Trump's White House, and we're going to be covering it here every single day. If you want to support that work, hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.